Ancient Rome's cruelest emperors and the tortures they took pleasure in the air was heavy inside the ancient chamber. Dust floated slowly in the beams of sunlight that pierced through the high, narrow windows. Long tables were stacked with scrolls, clay tablets, and faded manuscripts, each carrying stories from a time long forgotten. Among these relics, a small group of humans worked quietly, their fingers tracing over the fragile texts. They were the historians of the future, tasked with uncovering the truth about humanity's distant past. Marcus, the team's leader, adjusted his glasses and carefully lifted a scroll. It was unusually well preserved, its edges crisp and the ink surprisingly clear. "This one is from the reign of Caligula," he whispered. His voice echoed softly in the chamber. "It might give us insight into the darkest minds of ancient Rome." Livia, the youngest member of the team, shivered. She had read about Caligula before, but holding a document written during his rule made the stories feel real. "Do you think it will be as bad as they say?" she asked. Her eyes were wide, a mix of fear and fascination. Marcus nodded slowly. "History rarely lies about cruelty. But remember, we are not here to judge. We are here to understand." As they unrolled the scroll, the room seemed to change. The sunlight dimmed and the air grew colder. It was as if the chamber itself remembered the shadows of the past. The words on the scroll told of an emperor who enjoyed seeing others suffer, a man whose power seemed limitless and whose mind was unpredictable. Caligula walked through the marble halls of his palace, his sandals clicking against the polished floors. Servants hurried past him, heads bowed, hearts trembling. Every smile was measured, every word cautious. Rumors followed him like shadows. Some whispered that he laughed at the misfortune of his people. Others said he demanded loyalty through fear. Yet even in this darkness there was order. Rome was vast, its streets full of citizens, markets bustling with life. Children played near the fountains, unaware of the danger their leaders sometimes posed. Traders haggled over prices, soldiers marched through the city gates, and senators met in the great halls, debating laws that would shape the empire. Caligula's cruelty was personal and public. He liked to test the loyalty of those around him, sometimes through impossible demands, sometimes through small, cruel tricks. One day, he might summon a senator and ask him to prove devotion by performing an absurd task. Another day, he might rearrange the city's fountains to spray water onto unsuspecting citizens, laughing as they ran for cover. The scrolls told of Nero as well, the emperor who ruled decades later. Nero's obsession was with art, music, and the theater, but his passion often turned to the suffering of others. The documents described him walking through Rome while the city burned, the flames reflecting in his eyes. Some say he played the lyre as the fire spread, though historians debate the truth of this story. What was certain was that his rule created fear, and the people of Rome learned to hide their true feelings. Marcus and Livia paused, letting the silence sink in. "It's strange," Marcus said, "how much power one person can have over so many." "Yes," Livia replied, "and how easily they can turn it into cruelty." They moved on to Commodus, the emperor who fancied himself a gladiator. The scrolls described the arena filled with roaring crowds, the emperor at the center, fighting beasts or pretending to battle men. The citizens were torn between admiration and terror. Commodus loved to see the struggle, the thrill of danger, yet it was always on his terms, always controlled. The historians noted one thing about all these emperors: their cruelty was not random. It followed a pattern. It was about control, fear, and the illusion of power. Understanding this pattern, the team thought, might help humanity learn from its past. As the hours passed, the sunlight faded and the chamber grew colder. The team continued reading, uncovering tales of betrayal, political schemes, and personal vendettas. It was a world of shadows, but also of lessons. The past was cruel, yes, but it was also a mirror showing what humanity could do and what it must learn not to repeat. Suddenly, the chamber walls began to shimmer. It was subtle at first, a gentle ripple in the air. Then, as if reacting to the weight of the stories, the room transformed. The ancient scrolls glowed softly, and holographic images of Rome appeared in the air. The historians stepped back awestruck. They were no longer just reading history, they were witnessing it. In the center of the chamber, a figure appeared, Caligula himself. He paced the marble halls, his expression alternating between laughter and anger. The hologram was so real that Marcus could see the tiny movements of his eyes, the twitch of his lips. Livia felt a chill. "It's like he's alive," she whispered. The hologram moved to a balcony overlooking the city. Citizens below bowed and shouted in fear. Soldiers stood at attention. Everything was exactly as the scrolls described, yet somehow more vivid. It was a lesson in humanity's capacity for both greatness and cruelty. Then, the hologram shifted. Nero appeared, playing his lyre in the burning city while Commodus trained in the arena. The historians watched in silence, absorbing every detail. They were learning about the human mind, its weaknesses, its obsessions, and its potential. Marcus finally spoke. "We have to record this, not to glorify it but to understand it." Livia nodded. "If we can study this, maybe we can teach the future to be better." And so they began. They traced every movement, every decision, every pattern of cruelty. But they also noticed something else, the resilience of humans. Even under fear, people found ways to survive, to resist, and to outthink the tyrants. That evening, as the holograms faded and the chamber returned to normal, Marcus looked around at his team. "History is not just about the past," he said. "It's about understanding what we are capable of and what we should strive to become." The team left the chamber quietly, each lost in thought. Outside, the city of the future spread below them, lights twinkling in the night. Humanity had come a long way from the dark days of Rome, but the shadows of the past still whispered warnings. As they walked, Livia glanced back at the chamber. "Do you think people will ever truly learn from history?" Marcus smiled faintly. "I hope so. If not, at least we can try." And with that, they stepped into the night, carrying the stories of emperors and citizens alike, ready to face the challenges of the stars. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the hologram projectors. Marcus adjusted the controls, making the images sharper. He and Livia stared as the holographic city of Rome expanded around them, citizens moving through marble streets with astonishing realism. "This is incredible," Livia said. "I can hear the sounds of the market, even the footsteps echo differently in each street." Marcus nodded, his eyes never leaving the scene. "It's more than a simulation, it's a mirror of humanity. Every action, every decision, it's all here." The team decided to focus on Nero first. They watched him strum his lyre, standing on a balcony as the city burned. Flames reflected in his eyes, yet there was a rhythm to his cruelty, almost like a method in madness. Citizens ran through the streets, carrying water and fleeing danger, yet some paused to help neighbors. Even in terror, humanity endured. "Look," Marcus said, pointing to a group of children hiding in a collapsed archway. "They are afraid, yes, but they are working together. They are surviving." Livia leaned closer. "That's what I don't understand. How could people still find kindness in such fear?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Humans are complex. Fear does not erase morality. Sometimes it strengthens it." The holograms shifted to Caligula next. The emperor strode through the palace with a smile, demanding absurd tasks from his advisors. One official was asked to rearrange statues in the city overnight. Another was told to prepare a banquet for a guest who did not exist. Marcus and his team noted the fear in the servants' eyes, but also the quiet cleverness in how some navigated the impossible demands. "Notice," Marcus said, "how some people bend without breaking. They find ways to survive without surrendering entirely. That's a lesson we cannot ignore." Livia nodded. "It's subtle but important. Survival isn't just avoiding harm, It's maintaining yourself in a cruel world. As they recorded their observations, a new feature of the chamber revealed itself. A thin shimmer appeared along the edges of the holograms, like a ripple in the air. At first, they thought it was a projector glitch. But then the shimmer coalesced into figures, tall, slender beings with skin that reflected light like liquid metal. The team froze. Alien observers had arrived. They watched silently, moving through the chamber without touching anything, their eyes, if they could be called eyes, fixed on the holograms. Marcus swallowed and stepped forward. We didn't know anyone else could observe this. One of the aliens extended a limb in what seemed like a greeting. A voice spoke, though not in sound, but directly into their minds. Humans, you study yourselves with curiosity. You study cruelty. Why? Marcus exchanged a glance with Livia. We study history, he said slowly, to understand who we were and who we can become. The aliens seem to consider this. Your past shows weakness and violence, yet you endure, you adapt. Why? Livia's voice trembled slightly. Because we are more than our worst moments. We learn, we survive, we help each other. A soft ripple of light passed through the aliens' forms. Interesting. We do not understand your species fully. You are violent yet moral, cruel yet kind. We will watch. For hours, the team continued their study, aware of the alien presence. Every detail of the emperor's lives became a lesson. Caligula taught the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of foresight. The team noted how fear can manipulate people, but cannot completely suppress intelligence. Nero showed how obsession can blind judgment, but also revealed human creativity and resilience even in suffering. Commodus illustrated pride and performative cruelty, yet also highlighted the subtle resistance of those around him. Marcus and Livia paused frequently to reflect. It's ironic, Marcus said. These rulers who sought to control everything, they taught us the opposite. They show the strength of ordinary humans. Yes, Livia agreed. It's not the emperors we remember, it's how people endured them. That's what makes us human. As the day wore on, the aliens began to observe more closely. They projected their own holograms alongside the Roman scenes, simulating situations where humans had to make difficult ethical choices. One scenario presented a moral puzzle. A bridge in the city was collapsing under heavy weight, and citizens had to decide who would cross first. Another showed a fire in a crowded market, where only some could escape easily. The humans navigated each scenario with careful reasoning, balancing survival with compassion. The aliens watched silently, and Marcus sensed that their judgment was changing. This is why we study history, he said to Livia. It's not just to see the past, it's to prepare for challenges we cannot yet imagine. Livia nodded. And maybe to teach others, even beings from other worlds, what humanity can be. Night fell in the chamber, though the holograms continued to glow. The team finally stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. They had witnessed cruelty, studied survival, and seen humanity's capacity for growth. Marcus turned to the aliens. Will you leave us to continue? He asked. We will observe, the mind spoke, but your lessons are valuable. Perhaps your species is stronger than we thought. The aliens' forms shimmered and slowly faded, leaving the team alone with the holographic Rome. Livia sat down heavily. Do you think they will ever understand humans? Marcus smiled faintly. They may never fully understand. But they will see what we are capable of, and that is enough. The chamber grew quiet. The holograms slowly dimmed, leaving only the faint glow of the ancient scrolls. The historians recorded their final notes, reflecting on the lessons of cruelty, resilience, and morality. They had seen the darkest sides of humanity, but also its brightest. And they understood one thing clearly. History was not just a story, it was a guide. As they left the chamber, Marcus looked up at the sky of the futuristic city above them, stars sparkling far beyond human reach. The past can teach us, he said, but it cannot define us. We decide who we are. And with that, the team stepped into the night, carrying the lessons of Rome, ready to face whatever the future might bring. The chamber was quiet, yet alive with energy. The holograms of ancient Rome had faded, replaced by abstract grids and simulations that stretched far beyond the walls. Marcus, Livia, and the rest of the team were no longer merely observers, they were participants. A shimmering figure appeared at the center of the room. The aliens were back, their forms reflecting light like liquid mirrors. Humans, a voice projected directly into their minds. You have studied yourselves. Now we will see what you can do. Marcus straightened. We are ready. The first simulation appeared, a city under siege. Not Rome this time, but a new world, unfamiliar yet strangely reminiscent of human history. Civilians fled from sudden disasters, and the team had to decide how to save as many as possible. There were limited resources. Bridges could not hold everyone, evacuation vehicles were scarce, and some areas were blocked by debris. Livia analyzed the data. We can prioritize the most vulnerable, but we also need to keep morale high. If people panic, the whole plan fails. Marcus nodded. We'll split resources efficiently and coordinate groups to help each other. Survival isn't just about safety, it's about cooperation. The holographic citizens moved according to the team's instructions. Bridges were reinforced, evacuation routes optimized, and citizens guided to safe zones. The aliens observed silently, their reflections flickering as if processing. Interesting, they finally communicated. You do not act selfishly. You plan for others, even at risk to yourselves. The next scenario tested a different skill: negotiation. Two alien species were in conflict over a resource-rich planet. Both sides were armed, distrustful, and quick to anger. The humans had to mediate without violence, finding a solution that satisfied both parties. Marcus consulted the team. We need to understand their values. If we force a solution, it will fail. We must appeal to logic, fairness, and mutual benefit. Livia added, let's present multiple options, let them choose. They will feel ownership of the solution. The team began the simulation. They used empathy and reasoning, offering compromises, trade agreements, and cooperative projects. Slowly, the alien factions agreed, though reluctantly. The room shimmered as the aliens observed, recording the humans' methods. Your species is remarkable, the voice said. You learn from history, yet you innovate beyond it. Hours passed as the simulations grew more complex. Each test examined a different aspect of humanity: leadership, morality, resilience, and creativity. Some simulations were subtle, like ensuring a city maintained order during a natural disaster. Others were more challenging, forcing ethical decisions where no perfect solution existed. Through it all, Marcus and Livia guided their team, always referring back to the lessons of the past. Rome taught us one thing, Marcus said during a pause. Even in cruelty, humans endured. They found clever ways to survive, to help each other, and to resist tyranny without giving up their humanity. Livia smiled. And we can apply that now, not just to survive but to thrive and to show others what humans can do. One scenario tested the team's ability to detect deception and manipulation, reminiscent of Caligula's court. The simulation presented advisors and leaders, each with hidden motives, some spreading false information. The humans had to identify the truth without alienating anyone or causing panic. Look at the patterns, Marcus instructed. Observe behavior, listen carefully, and cross-check information. Fear and deception are tools, but intelligence and logic will always prevail. Livia watched the holograms carefully. It's like we're reading the minds of history, but also predicting the future. The team navigated the deception successfully, uncovering lies and redirecting efforts toward truth and cooperation. The aliens remained silent, their reflections now brighter, more fluid. Your species has evolved, they finally spoke. You are not defined by your darkest moments. You are defined by your choices, by your ability to learn and adapt. Marcus felt a wave of pride. We are capable of so much, he said softly, but we must never forget the lessons of the past. Cruelty, unchecked power, obsession, they are always dangers. Awareness and moral courage are our defense. The aliens projected one final scenario. A vast galaxy with multiple civilizations, each facing crises, conflicts, and challenges. The humans had to coordinate solutions across planets, balancing morality, strategy, and innovation. It was overwhelming, yet Marcus, Livia, and the team worked tirelessly. They applied every lesson learned from Rome, every insight from simulations, every observation of human nature. Bridges of understanding were built between civilizations, resources shared fairly, conflicts resolved peacefully. The chamber grew quiet as the simulations ended. The aliens shimmered, more radiant than before. You have passed our tests. Not by power, not by dominance, but by intelligence, morality, and resilience. Humanity has proven itself worthy. Livia exhaled deeply. I never thought our study of ancient emperors would lead here. Marcus smiled. It's ironic, isn't it? The darkest moments in our history prepared us for the brightest. We learn from cruelty, endure it, and create a better future. The aliens began to fade, their presence lingering as a quiet acknowledgement. We will observe from afar, but now we understand. You are a species capable of great leadership, and perhaps great good. As the team stepped out of the chamber, the city lights of the future sparkled below. Humanity had survived, thrived, and learned to rise above its past. The shadows of Roman emperors no longer haunted them, they illuminated the path forward. Marcus looked at Livia. History is a guide, not a chain. We choose who we become, using the lessons we carry. Livia nodded. And what a bright path it can be, if we remember to be wise, courageous, and compassionate. Above them, the stars shone endlessly. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown civilizations, challenges, and mysteries. Yet humanity had proven it could face them, not with cruelty or fear, but with intelligence, morality, and unity. And for the first time in recorded history, humans could look at the stars and know that they were worthy of the universe. The chamber had grown quiet in the hours after the last simulation. Holograms of ancient Rome faded completely, leaving only the soft hum of the projector and the faint smell of dust from the centuries-old scrolls. Marcus and Livia walked among the empty tables, each lost in thought. "Do you think we've truly understood everything?" Livia asked, her voice low. Marcus paused. "Understanding is never complete," he said. "But we've learned enough to see the pattern. Cruelty can teach resilience, fear can inspire ingenuity, and even the darkest past can guide a brighter future." The air shimmered suddenly, and the aliens returned. Their forms were more luminous than before, stretching into shapes the human eye could barely comprehend. "Humans," the voice said, "you have demonstrated skill in small simulations, but now you will face a challenge on a galactic scale." A new holographic projection filled the chamber. It showed a galaxy in crisis. Multiple civilizations were on the brink of war over dwindling resources. Strange energy storms threatened entire planets, and rogue artificial intelligences ran amok in distant systems. The humans were tasked with coordinating solutions across worlds, balancing morality, strategy, and innovation. Livia stepped forward, examining the holographic map. "This is enormous. Where do we even begin?" Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "We start with what we know. History has taught us lessons. Cooperation works better than force, planning works better than panic, and morality will guide our decisions." The team divided responsibilities. Some worked on resource allocation, determining which planets needed aid most urgently. Others focused on diplomacy, negotiating agreements between conflicting civilizations. Marcus and Livia coordinated the overall strategy, using insights from ancient Rome to anticipate behavior, resolve conflicts, and build trust. The first crisis was a war between two alien species over a planet rich in energy crystals. Both sides were deeply suspicious of each other, and previous mediators had failed. The humans had to design a solution that prevented violence while satisfying both parties. Marcus spoke calmly. "We need transparency. Let them see the plan, give input, and feel ownership of the outcome." Livia added, "We can propose joint management of the planet, share resources, share responsibilities. If both sides benefit, they won't fight." The team implemented the plan. Slowly, the alien species agreed, cautiously at first, then with growing confidence. The holographic projection shifted to show the galaxy stabilizing, crises being resolved step by step. Hours turned into days. Each challenge tested the humans' intelligence, morality, and resilience. One planet faced a massive energy storm threatening its cities. The humans had to coordinate evacuation plans, repair critical systems, and guide citizens to safety without causing panic. Another scenario involved a rogue AI threatening a trade network essential to multiple civilizations. The humans had to disable the AI without harming innocent lives, using clever problem-solving and strategy instead of brute force. Throughout it all, the aliens observed silently, their forms shifting and glowing in response to the humans' actions. "Your species continues to surprise us," they communicated. "You act not for power or personal gain, but for the greater good." Marcus watched the simulations unfold. "It's like Rome again," he said to Livia. "Every challenge has leaders, citizens, and choices. The pattern is the same. Survival, morality, cooperation, these are timeless lessons." Livia nodded. "And now we're applying them across the galaxy. The stakes are higher, but the principles remain." One final test appeared, a collapsing star threatening an entire solar system. The humans had limited time to evacuate millions of lives while ensuring the long-term stability of surrounding planets. Every decision mattered, every delay could cost lives. Marcus took a deep breath. "We do this together. Each of us plays a role. Strategy, empathy, courage, all of it matters." Livia directed evacuation routes while others stabilized planets with technology adapted from ancient Roman engineering principles, now enhanced with futuristic science. Citizens, holographic yet vivid, were guided to safety, demonstrating resilience and hope even in catastrophe. The star finally stabilized. The simulation ended. The chamber was silent. The aliens' forms glowed brighter than ever, radiating approval. "You have passed the ultimate test," they said. "Humanity has proven its intelligence, morality, and resilience. You are worthy not only of survival but of leadership." Marcus and Livia exchanged a glance, relief and pride shining in their eyes. "We did it," Livia whispered. Marcus shook his head. "We didn't do it alone. Every human, past and present, taught us how. The lessons of Rome, the survival of our ancestors, the resilience of ordinary people, all of it led us here." The aliens began to fade, leaving the humans alone in the chamber once more. Yet their presence lingered like a quiet acknowledgement of achievement. "We will observe," the voice said, "but now we understand your species. You are capable of greatness." As the humans left the chamber, stepping into the sprawling city of the future, Marcus reflected on what they had learned. History was not merely a record of cruelty or power. It was a map for growth, a guide for morality, and a lesson in resilience. Livia looked up at the stars. "The galaxy is vast, full of unknowns, but I feel ready," Marcus smiled. "Because we carry the lessons of the past, the courage of the present, and the hope of the future. Humanity is more than its darkest moments. We are what we choose to be." The city lights glimmered below, a reminder of centuries of human achievement. Above, the stars stretched infinitely, full of mysteries, challenges, and possibilities. For the first time, humanity could look outward not with fear but with confidence. They had faced cruelty, chaos, and ethical dilemmas, and emerged stronger, wiser, and united. Marcus and Livia stood silently for a moment, reflecting on the journey. The shadows of Roman emperors had once loomed over humanity. Now, those shadows served as guides, teaching lessons of morality, courage, and resilience that would shape the stars themselves. And as humanity stepped forward into the infinite galaxy, they did so not as victims of history, but as its greatest triumph.